Absolutely, absolutely. Yeah, I should have said the other way. Yeah, well, yes, actually, yes. You gave her a reason. Mhm.
Good evening, everyone. It is now 6 o'clock, and seems like this is the first time that we're starting right at 6 o'clock in quite a while. So I'd like to call the regular meeting of Sumter County Council for Tuesday, September 28th to order. Let us all stand, and the speaker to please give us an invocation. Please remain standing for our Pledge of Allegiance, which will be led by Reverend Peter St. Orange from Council District Number 4.
Let us pray. Our dear kind Heavenly Father, we do thank you for allowing this council to come together again to discuss and take actions on the business that is before us. We invite your presence and ask that you just abide with us and be in our hearts, spirits, and our minds, that we will conduct things in the way that you would have us to do it. We ask your blessings upon everyone who is present. We ask you to continue to bless our men and women who serve, and especially those who are serving in harm's way. We ask you to continue to be our Jehovah Rapha, the God that heals. We ask that you just go visit the hospitals and those who are suffering. If you would just give them that some relief and just help them to be all right in your perfect way. And as we go through every item on our agenda, we ask that you help us to be wise and to have understanding as to how to make our decisions this evening. These and all blessings we thank and ask in your precious name. Amen.
Amen.
Just a second.
You can go ahead. You can stand over there if you just want to introduce you.
Retired U.S. Air Force veteran Peter St. Onge served our country for over 22 years. He supported Operation Desert Shield and Desert Storm. He also served in the Persian Gulf War, supporting Operation Enduring Freedom and the wars in Afghanistan. Veteran St. Onge is currently the area commander for the Sumter County American Legion, commander of American Legion Post 15, and the Assistant Department Staff Sergeant at Arms for the State American Legion. He is married to Tasha St. Onge, and they have 5 children and 6 grandchildren. He currently lives in County Council District 4. Thank you for your service.
Thank you. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Mrs. Berry, are there any changes to the agenda?
No, sir, there are no changes.
Move for approval. Second.
We have a motion by Mr. Bacon and a second by Mr. Baker to approve the agenda. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor? Any opposed? The agenda is approved. We have 2 meeting minutes to approve. One is from our regular meeting for Tuesday, September 14th, and a special meeting of County Council on September 14th as well. A motion to approve those 2 sets of minutes. So moved. It's been moved by Mr. Eden, second by Mr. Baker. We approve our minutes from our regular meeting for Tuesday, September 14th, and our special meeting for County Council on September 14th as well. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? The minutes for those 2 meetings are approved. Land use matters, RZ 2119-2.
Good evening. RZ 2119 is a rezoning request at 301 East Hunter Street The applicant is Mr. William Hayes as the authorized agent for the property owner. This request is to rezone approximately 3.76 acres of a larger tract of acreage from residential 9 to agricultural conservation. This is the property in question. It is actually fronting on Fairfax Street with frontage on East Hunter and Laverne Street. It is in a subdivision that was never fully built out. So like I said, this request is to rezone from R9 to agricultural conservation. The driving force behind this is that one of the children of the property owner seeks to place a home on this piece of property. In this instance, they would like to put a manufactured home on the property, and it's only permitted in the agricultural conservation zoning district or in general residential. So they're asking to rezone this property to agricultural conservation because it is actually contiguous to the larger acreage tract that they own. As you can see, the streets are not actually cut out in this imagery because they're paper streets. They were never developed. So really the only frontage that this piece actually has on a real county-owned road is on Fairfax Street. When we look at rezonings, we look at the comprehensive land use plan designation. This is in the suburban development planning area, which generally wouldn't be supportive of downzoning a property from a more intense district to a less intense district like agricultural, excepting for the fact that in the suburban development planning area, we want to support suburban densities where there's infrastructure. And in this particular instance, we don't have sewer available in this particular area. It is served by septic, and the soils in this area are not such that they would support very intense development for septic tanks. It actually requires much more land than if you have optimum soils. This is what the property looks like today. It is wooded. Like I said, manufacturing uses are a by right use in the AC zoning district. And so that being said, if it is rezoned, they will be able to put a manufactured home on the property, but it would also open up any other uses that would be allowed in the AC district. Many commercial uses are really conditional uses in the district, so they wouldn't be automatically approved. They'd be better through the process. Again, some other views of the property. Planning Commission is recommending approval of this request. We do believe that the existing pattern of development and the zoning in the vicinity of the property do indicate that while there was a plan to develop a larger subdivision at this time with a lack of infrastructure, the practicality of that is fairly null. At some point in the future, it may be available, so the family does only want to rezone this particular portion of the tract to agricultural conservation, and Planning Commission is supportive of that. I'm happy to answer any questions that you may have.
Move approval first reading.
Second.
We have a motion and a second by Mr. Byrd and by Mr. Baker that we have first reading on RZ 2119. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor of first reading, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? First reading of RZ 2119 is approved. Ordinance amendment number 2105.
This request is coming on the heels of the moratorium that was declared on drinking places and special events venues, primarily special events venues, that was issued at the last meeting. This would amend multiple sections of the city, or in this particular county zoning ordinance, to provide definitions and specific requirements for special event facilities, as well as definitions for drinking places, nightclubs, and bottle clubs. This is being proposed to address some trends and factors that we've been seeing. There has been an increased frequency in requests to establish special event facilities throughout the community. There is a lack of clarity in the zoning ordinance text on what constitutes a special events facility. And the increasing frequency of licensed special events facilities are actually operating as BYOB or bring your own bottle nightclubs, as opposed to operating as duly licensed bars with on-premise consumption licenses. So this amendment seeks to fill that gap in the zoning ordinance that prevents the use of or abuse of that loophole and helps to support enforcement of existing illegal bring your own bottle or nightclub type uses that are operating without state licensure. We do believe that there's inadequate land use requirements for special events facility uses due to the SSC code classification, and that this use is categorized with less intensive uses, So adding some additional requirements for those types of uses would allow us to address any land use impacts in a more adequate manner. This would also put bring your own bottle or BYOB nightclubs and bars on the same footing as a drinking place where they have gone through the process of getting an on-premise consumption license. Right now, under our ordinance, those are special exception uses that have to go through a public hearing process where the impacts to the adjacent properties are addressed. With the special events facilities, the way they're licensed currently, we don't go through that process, so they are operating under the radar and having the same impacts on the neighborhood as a conventional drinking place or bar may. We looked at the definitions. We went through this in Land Use Committee earlier today where we looked at define drinking places. I won't read them verbatim for you, but for the community at large, it's up here on the screen. Essentially, drinking places are what you would always think of in terms of a bar where they have their proper license from the Department of Revenue to serve liquor by the drink or beer and wine. And people pay for that. BYOB or Bring Your Own Bottle Club operates more on the scale of a cover charge being charged. They may have entertainment there, but you bring your own drink with you. So they're making their money from their cover charges as opposed to selling alcohol to individuals, but it's still having the same land use impact as a drinking place. Of course, nightclubs, we also define, nightclubs do provide entertainment components. They may or may not be bring your own bottle. They may be licensed to the Department of Revenue, but we do define those. And then we go through the step to define what a special events facility or a venue is to clarify the difference between those and a bring your own bottle or a bar nightclub situation. We do propose to amend Exhibit 5, which is our use table. We would bring out special events facilities under their own SSC code. They would become conditional uses in limited commercial, general commercial, central business district, light industrial warehouse, mixed-use industrial, and a C300 and agricultural. And then we would add nightclubs and bottle clubs to the drinking place location on the tablet table that would also indicate that those are special exception uses. I did make this change based on our conversation we had earlier today at Land Use Committee. In terms of a conditional use, we do have some specific review criteria that we have laid out and proposed. It relates to having an on-site manager present and available during the duration of events occurring at a special events venue, and that contact information be on file with the planning department. And then we have an operational plan that's submitted with conditional use application that addresses the items that you see on the screen related to maximum capacity based on building and fire code, looking at the contact information for that on-site manager, the types of events that they're anticipating and marketing, how their solid waste would be handled in terms of garbage and dumpsters. We'd also request a floor plan of the facility that shows the square footage and use of each room, whether it's storage, bathrooms, kitchen space, open rental space, and then a plot plan that shows the property layout, where the parking lot is, any outdoor event space that they're going to have, building location, site access, etc. Many of these are things that we already asked for through the review process. This would just be codifying it and writing in the text. We would also look at vehicular access. This is something that we look at through every commercial site plan, but it would be to ensure that there's adequate emergency vehicle access to the venue. To perspective in the ordinance, where we would be looking at 1.2 parking spaces for every 100 square feet of gross floor area that is for event space. This would exclude storage, office spaces, bathrooms, and hallways. This would be based on your main meeting hall spaces. The Planning Commission did recommend approval of this request. We believe that it provides definition and conditional use review criteria for special events facility uses. It provides clear definitions for what constitutes a drinking place for special exception review, including drinking places, nightclubs, and bottle clubs. And it ensures the full review and proper processes in place to address special event facility uses, and then closes loopholes that we currently have in the regulations that do allow facilities that are describing themselves as special events venues or facilities, but are really operating like nightclubs. I'm happy to answer any questions that you may have.
Any questions of this room? Hearing none, what is the pleasure of council?
Move first approval. Second.
It's been moved by Mr. Payton, seconded by Mr. Baker, that we approve first reading of ordinance number 2105. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor? All opposed? Thank you, Mr. Rubin. Under new business, resolution 2109, Mr. Bryant.
Mr. Chairman, members of the council, this is a resolution to approve a lease. Mr. Galloway, the purchasing director, has worked through this and he's ready to go forward. The vendor would like to have a resolution by the county council acknowledging that county council approves the lease. Move for approval.
Second.
It's been moved by Mr. Baker, seconded by Mr. Burge, that we have first reading on ordinance 21-964. Any discussion?
Just so the public will know, we did discuss this during committee, so therefore we're well informed as to the decision that we'll be making.
And I'm sorry, this is resolution 2109. Hearing no further discussion, all in favor? All opposed? Resolution 2109. Ordinance 21-964, first reading.
Mr. Chairman, members of the council, Kershaw County lured a new business to its county, and they wanted to establish a new industrial park with Sumter County. That business will be in the new park. Now we have an existing county industrial park agreement with Kershaw County, but they decided instead of amending that, they decided to do it. Benefit to us is we get 1% of the fee in lieu of tax that comes off of that property, but they've asked us to go forward and approve the same new Lee County, Sumter County Park agreement. The old one will remain in place. There are a number of parcels in that old agreement. This will be a second agreement with Lee County. I mean Kershaw County, excuse me.
Move for approval.
Second.
And who moved? We have a motion by Mr. Byrne and a second by Ms. McCain. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor? Aye. All opposed? Hearing none, ordinance 21-964, first reading is approved. Come now to committee reports. Land use committee meeting. Mr. Eads.
Land use committee met this afternoon. We had a presentation from Ms. Rubin concerning the item we just passed first reading on, 2105 rental places. The only action we took was to add special event use to the limited commercial zoning district, which she has already made that change in the presentation.
Thank you, Mr. Eads. Public Safety Committee, Mr. Washington.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. We had some extensive discussion about the possibility of a mask mandate in the public safety meeting, and we determined that based on the limitations that we have currently, which include advice from council, which include advice from the Sheriff's Department, and which also includes guidance and ordinances by the South Carolina General Assembly, we will not be taking any action at this time, but we will leave it open to take any action in the future if necessary.
Thank you,
Mr. Chairman, may I have the opportunity to speak concerning this mass ordinance? Thank you. I wasn't going to say anything until I looked at the administrator's report that's going to be shared later. And it really concerned me that when I looked at this report, it said in the last 14 days, September 11th through September 24th, confirmed number of deaths from COVID-19 is 15 deaths. It is suspected that there might be 3 more for a total of 18. 15 citizens in Sumter County in the last 14 days died of COVID-19 illness. That's sad. That's sad. And I want to read a report that I made, but I'm not going to read the whole report. I'm just going to read the conclusion of what I wrote. Economic development is one of Sumter County Council's primary responsibilities. We also have the responsibility to ensure the safety, health, and welfare of all citizens of Sumter County. Any member of this governing body who don't recognize and accept the fact that Sumter County has a serious health crisis caused by COVID-19 is in denial or refuse to accept reality. Sumter County is a very high COVID risk level. Only 51.4% of the population have received at least one vaccine dose. Since the pandemic began, Sumter County has had 14,800 people tested positive for the virus, with 562 hospitalized and 264 deaths. As I stated, sadly, in the past 14 days, 15 people have died. Now is the time to take immediate action to save the lives of people who depend on us to timely respond to crisis situations with effective solutions. Procrastination is not an option. It's time for leaders to lead. We know from medical experts that getting vaccinated and wearing a mask are two actions people can take to protect themselves and others from COVID-19. Again, unfortunately, Sumter County has a very low vaccination completion rate. Many citizens are reluctant to get vaccinated due to misinformation and conspiracy theories. Getting people vaccinated is an uphill battle and time-consuming. Therefore, requiring people to wear masks is a fast and effective alternative to reducing the spread of COVID-19. Sumter County has the authority required by citizens living in the boundaries of the county to wear masks. A mask mandate are not unconstitutional and have been seeing them implemented so far. The Constitution gives states the ability to protect the public under the 10th Amendment. Mr. Joe McElveen, former mayor of the city of Sumter, wrote a commentary in the Sumter Item on September 23rd titled, "Don't Go AWOL in the Fight Against COVID-19. Mr. McElveen said, friends are telling him he is wasting his time trying to convince more of his fellow Sumterites to vaccinate and mask up. He said he cannot give up because many people he cares about are getting sick and worse. He said, we know that physical separation and wearing masks can protect others and ourselves. He said the pandemic calls on us all to sacrifice to defeat COVID-19. Lastly, he said we cannot return to normal unless we do our part to conquer COVID-19. The best plan is to get vaccinated and mask up. People, please don't go AWOL on this fight. It is worthy to note that under Mr. McElveen's leadership, when he was the mayor of the city of Sumter, City Council passed a mask mandate which was enforced by the Sumter Police Department. So to my colleagues, I'm asking you, don't go AWOL in this fight. The life you save may be your spouse, your children, or your grandchildren. The mask mandate is an effective way we can deal with the issue. Unfortunately, I don't have the support of this body to push this issue forward. So therefore, I'm going to pull back and wait when this body
realizes that we need to do something about people dying in Sumter County from COVID-19. Thank you.
Mr. Chairman?
Mr. Washington.
Thank you. I just want to remind this body, the folks sitting out here and the folks who may be tuning in, that a mask mandate would be fantastic, but unfortunately, the actions of the General Assembly has prevented that from happening, particularly with our most vulnerable, our children. If we implemented a mask mandate today, it would not be enforceable in our schools based on the proviso that was written. And those are our most sacred treasures. Our sheriff, who is an excellent sheriff, has indicated the mask mandate is not enforceable. Our legal counsel has advised us if we chose to go down this road, there would be a 50-50 chance of us having any success. I agree that masks are important, but the responsibility for that lies with our legislative delegation and the folks in Columbia. And by the way, we have a very powerful legislative delegation. We have 2 House members who sit on the very powerful Ways and Means Committee. One of them is chairman. We have 2 senators from our delegation who sit on the Senate Finance Committee, which is the comparable, very powerful legislative body in the Senate. And as I am sure most of you have seen, the General Assembly has punted on coming back to Columbia to deal with this issue. As a matter of fact, the South Carolina Senate was scheduled to come back on the 12th. They have now punted. To lay the burden of this issue at the feet of county council is not factual and it's not accurate. The power lies in Columbia, South Carolina, with the South Carolina General Assembly. And I want to be sure that everyone understands that. I agree with the councilman on how important this issue is. Unfortunately, if we meaning council and the citizens of this county, are serious about seeing a mask mandate, then we should take notes from the teachers. 2 years ago, they put 10,000 people on the grounds of the State House because they wanted better pay, they wanted better policies, they wanted a number of things. And we just don't have that outpouring right now. That is where the power is, and that is where our efforts need to be focused. Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. I'll complete with my comments.
Thank you. The Fiscal Tax and Property Committee meeting met. All members were present. We received a report on the economic development project from Jay Swadler, our economic development CEO. No action was taken. We also, from the Fiscal Tax and Property Committee meeting, have a motion and a second to purchase some property on Brewington Road near our Sumter County Airport using up to $71,000 from our infrastructure fund. That was a motion and a second.
How much, I'm sure you said 71.
Up to $71,000. There may be some closing costs. So I have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion is carried. You may proceed, Mr. Bryan. We also had a special meeting of Sumter County Council, and I will defer to Mr. Mixon, our county administrator.
Mr. Chair, council members, and members of the audience, good evening. I just want to quickly brief the audience about the meeting that council had today at 5:30. It was in relation to the ARPA funding that has been discussed in our community for quite some time. Staff first did a update on the mini grant program that is now in application process, which started on September the 20th. We will run that until October 22nd. On November the 5th, we will start the application review, and then by November the 19th, we anticipate that the applicants will be awarded. Unfortunately, we've only had 2 applicants to date, but this is very early in the process, and we anticipate there will be additional applications made to the county, at which time we will follow the process. Also update the council on the next area of interest, which is what we are calling the mobile home repair project, and I know there are some in the audience that are interested in that particular project. Staff has recommended and council has accepted the request for us to have a request for qualifications submitted to the community to determine agencies or organizations that have experience in working with these projects. We will grade those requests for qualifications and then submit back to council with a recommendation on which entities we might partner with as we work through that process. Just as a reminder, these projects are primarily focused on mobile homes that are 20 years old and older, recognizing that there are other opportunities in the community for the newer mobile homes. This is an opportunity to fill that gap. So we will be sending that information out, again, requesting qualifications from a couple of from any organization. We are aware of 2 currently that are working with projects of this nature, so there may be others. Also, just to inform council, there are a number of other requests that are coming before council now that don't necessarily fall into any particular category. Staff has recommended to council that we compile that information over a period of time and then present all of it at one time, as opposed to taking on each individual project one at a time. I believe that pretty much covers the information in a special meeting, Mr. Chairman.
Mr. Chairman. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I am hoping that Dr. Brenda Williams is smiling over there regarding regarding the work that we plan to do with mobile homes. I know that you've worked on this for a long time, and some of your folks have reached out to me. And so council has heard you, and we are responding. And we just want to thank you for the work that you've done in that regard for the underserved. And you would share with them that help is on the way.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Mr. Washington. The next item on the agenda, reports from council members on other meetings, trainings, and or conferences. Okay, hearing none, monthly reports. Ms. Brandon.
Council members, you have the Public Works monthly report in your packet, as well as the building department activity report. That's it.
County Administrator's report, Mr. Nixon.
Mr. Chair, one quick item. I did want to inform council to anticipate staff coming at our next meeting on October the 12th to request formally that we move forward with the capital penny sales tax process. We will give some dates and outlines. One of the things that I do want to go ahead and inform council that while we are in this pandemic, we do anticipate some of the processes and procedures that might be limited in this process. Last time we were able to have a number of community meetings and with great turnout in our last effort. So we will be challenged in that area, and probably, we'll be required to come up with some creative ways to make sure that the community is engaged in that process. It's very important that we hear from the citizens of our community. But we will be coming before council at the next meeting requesting official action to move forward with that process. That's all I have, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Nixon. Next item on the agenda is public comment portion, where citizens desiring to speak can speak to council, limited to no more than 3 minutes. Comments that are made through the chairman. Please state your name for the record. I now declare the public comment section open.
My name is Estelle Brunson, and this is my nephew, Rondy Brunson, and he's here asking for some help to help on his mobile home. He has a mobile home that needs some repair work on it, and he's here to find out whether he will be able to get some help in the repair of it. His address is 5450B, Raymond Jenkins Road, Sumter, South Carolina. And he's a registered voter, and he pays his taxes. So, you know, he wants to know whether he will be able to get some help.
Thank you, Ms. Brunson. Thank you, Mr. Brunson.
Good evening, everyone. First of all, I thank God for people who have compassion, love, empathy. We just thank God. The Family Unit Incorporated is a 501c3 nonprofit charitable organization that reaches out to people who live in poverty and despair. And we thank the Sumter County Council for being compassionate and loving and caring about the people who live in dire poverty. You would think that you were in a third world country other than America. To go into some of the homes, the wonderful folk who are here this evening have situations that the Family Unit has tried, but we just don't have the money to help all the people. We have a waiting list. We get about 8 people a day, homeowners living in mobile homes. And my husband and I go out on house calls. It's a different kind of house call. It's a call on houses this time and the people that live in it. And we're trying, by God's grace. We thank the city of Sumter also for allowing $100,000 to be divided among 20 families. Lastly, the Sumter County Council has already received $10 million from the American Rescue Plan Act. We really asked the council to devote 1/10 of that $10 million. That's $1 million. And you all are working on it because you just devoted $500,000. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Dr. Brunson.
Thank you.
Anyone else wishing to speak to council? Seeing none, the public comment section is closed.
Mr. Chairman, before we, I would like, as a point of privilege, and I know Dr. Williams' time ran out. I just wanted to let her know that we are advocating for that. I do believe that a country who honors and takes care of the poor will be blessed. It's some people might call it the Abrahamic principle. And with my personal beliefs, I just believe that whenever we are blessed, we need to give back 10%. And so I know that we have already verbally said that we will allocate $500,000. And I asked for the other one. And not only that, but I've asked if, as we move forward, maybe even going higher than that, when we have so many applications to come in, how can we turn them down? So we will be advocating for that. And I thank you for what you do, and we hope that you'll continue to help the poor in our county. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Anyone else?
Move for adjournment.
Second. Motion by Mr. Baker, second by Mr. Burdick, as we adjourn. Any discussion? All in favor?